You are watching Eswatini TV, Sibuko Semaswati.
Exactly that time of the week will give you one of the best entertainment when it comes to sports activities that were taking place over the weekend, and also looking at other stories that are making headlines. Hello and welcome. This is a Temidlalo live show, your Monday edition, of course, going to give you everything you want to know about different sporting courts, and of course don't leave anything behind that was taking place over the weekend. From hockey today, we'll be hearing from their administrator, one of the administrators, just to hear how the sport is coping under the current situation of the COVID-19 and where they are heading as an association. Otherwise, we do have good representatives outside the kingdom of Eswatini. We talk about Nobuhle Dlamini, we talk about the likes of Jamie Pennington. Now, the situation today is going to be the focus on Jamie Pennington. How is he doing as he's representing the country internationally? He's in the Sunshine Tour. He's been actually there for quite a couple of weeks. So we just chat with him through Zoom to understand the ins and outs of the tournament. How has he been doing? What are the, what is he expected to be doing very soon, and how is the schedule looking like heading into September, late also October? How is it going to be coping? Otherwise, it will also move on to other sporting courts. Pool were active over the weekend, cricket was active over the weekend, and of course not forgetting the annual general meeting of the Eswatini Premier League, of course, that ended up not happening what was expected by everyone. The elections, they did not take place after 2 hours was expired. The government, of course, had put it as a rule that every meeting that it has to take in the Kingdom of Eswatini should not exceed more than 2 hours. This is in line to fight with the coronavirus pandemic. Otherwise, that could not happen over the weekend. Otherwise, for those who are joining us on different platforms, you are so much welcome. This is going to be a very entertaining program through Skujan, and of course, this is a chance. Sit tight. Do not change the TV or your remote and change to another channel. It's going to be very beautiful. Otherwise, for those joining us on YouTube, do not forget the usual system. You have to subscribe and make sure that next time you do get a reminder about the program. I'm already in the company of Prosper Stole. There's a lot I'm going to talk about with Mr. Stoll. He's he's the Secretary General of the Eswatini Hockey Association. Stoll, welcome you. You're comfortable. Just feel free. You're home. This is your studio, and I think we've had your interviews on news programs, but I think this was a chance just to expand on what the association is all about and what you guys are doing and under the current situation. And I think before maybe we get into the sport itself, and then I think for the viewers sometimes at some point it's always to understand who are we talking to. How did you come to be in the position you are in today, being the administrator, being the Secretary General of the association? Now, Prosper Story, just introduce yourself and tell us where you're from and how long have you been in the sport?
Okay, thank you so much for having me. Like you said, my name is Prosper Stole. I'm the SG of Eswatini Hockey Association. I'm originally from Zimbabwe.
Yes.
Where I started playing hockey at a very young age, and I played for the national team for I think about 18 years.
Well, national team of Zimbabwe.
Of Zimbabwe.
For 18 years.
Yes.
Okay. Experience and hard work at its best. And then carry on.
Then I moved to Eswatini. I think my last international was in 2015 when I moved here. But then I had to stop playing I retired, let me say, to focus more on Eswatini Hockey Association.
No, I'm not trying to guess how old you are, but when you say 18 years old, which means if you finished in 2015, which means you started around 1997 playing for the national team.
1997.
when you say I'm looking at the situation from 2000 to 2015,
I'm
15
33
years
right now.
So, okay, now we get into the age issue now.
It's not a problem with me. I'm 33. I think I broke into the national team when I was 18 at that time.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's the actual men's team. But I was playing for like school sides and the likes, which falls under national teams as well, but just on the junior side.
So for me, I don't know, maybe for the viewer, when you talk about 18 years of experience, it says a lot about what you're bringing in the organization and in the development of the sport. What are some of the things that you've won as a hockey player with the national team of Zim?
We've won like a couple of SADC tournaments, which were, the first one was in Namibia. I think I was around 21 back then. I think that was my first major. Then we won that tournament for about 3-4 years until it wasn't played anymore after that. So I think that's one of the majors I've won. But for other majors, I actually really have wanted to win as like Africa Cup of Nations.
You've participated in the Africa Cup of Nations?
Yes.
When last was that?
2015 at Randburg
Wow.
in South Africa. And
Okay.
South Africa has been winning this trophy for ever since I can
So
remember.
you were once a runner-up of a tournament.
Not really, because there are big guns in the field as well, like Egypt, Ghana, and Kenya.
You faced some of those teams.
Yes.
Now,
yes.
enough about you. Let's talk about the organization now. You are the SG, which is the Secretary General of the association. So with that experience you just told us, when you joined the organization, maybe we can talk about the background of the sport. What did you find at hand? What did you find that you have to work on and trying to improve the sport in the country? Just a short background.
Okay. So when I came into the country, I didn't know there was much hockey around here. But when I came in, I felt like there's just so much talent in here. So I met up with two other friends. Then we formed the association. That's how I came up to be SG.
So how many years now is the association now?
Where we met in 2015. I think at the end of.
Sorry, this is your logo.
Yes.
The emblem of the association when you talk about the Eswatini Hockey Association. All right, so I'm seeing these are the materials that you use to play, and then just to give us the clear picture of what we're seeing there on the screen.
Okay, right there is the
picture of the bag. Yes.
Yeah, it's the hockey ball and hockey sticks.
Yes.
We just got someone creative to create it in a way that it's unique to Swaziland or Eswatini. I think this is the old one. The new logo now has Eswatini Hockey Association on it.
Okay.
So we just wanted it to be quite unique to Eswatini.
Yes, you were explaining about the work now.
Okay. Yeah, so we started the association in, I think, end of 2015. That's where we met, the three of us. We decided let's form an association which really governs and take the talents that's in Eswatini to the next step. Because mostly, like, the sport is mostly played in the private schools. But then after that, you find that the talents that's there, they don't have anywhere to play. There was no national team for them. So most of them, I know a couple of people who are playing top class hockey in South Africa, but they can't play for South Africa because they are Swazis. So now that's why we formed the association, so that those people can have a platform for them to play on an international stage.
When you talk about the association, I will look at the overview. Some of the pictures. What are we looking at there?
Well, this is under 14. I would rather say this is the first national side we've actually taken out of
the country
to tournaments in South Africa.
When you say this, you mean the three players on the screen, or there's a specific player?
The teams in red.
Yes.
In red and blue, Eswatini colors.
Okay, I love the colors.
That was last year, 2019, around this time, September. Yeah, so we just got a couple of under 14s, and we went on tour to South Africa. And the girls here, they did quite well. I think they lost one match, and they were 7th of 19 teams.
Okay. And
most of these girls had never played on that stage. South Africa as well, as you can see, that's artificial surface. That's where you play hockey. And I think about 3 or 4 of them had played on such a surface, and it's a different ball game. But the results themselves, they show you that the talent is there, and we can really go far.
And of course, I'm looking at some of the stages they've taken to improve the sport. What are we looking at here now? It's a different area now. These are some of your, I would say, grassroots programs.
Yes, this is some of our grassroots programs in
where is this place?
In Mhlambanyati.
Yes.
Yeah, in Mhlambanyati. So I would proudly say Mhlambanyati Primary School is the first government school which has been involved in hockey. And we got them involved in 2017. That's when they actually started play. Involved in the private schools. Fortunately for us, private schools have allowed us into their tournaments, and we brought in Mhlambanyatsi Primary School into those tournaments. I think they were number 4. They came 4th, so they really did well. That's semi-finals. They really did well, and one of the captain, I think he was voted player of the tournament.
As we look at the pictures, and of course I think these are also some of the programs. Is this Mhlambanyatsi as well?
No, this is the under 14s training
Main
sessions
side.
before we went on tour.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now you've talked about how far you've gone. You've got under 14s. You've got you've reached even to the schools. I want to talk about when you talk about a sport, especially a sport like this. Most of the time, you have also to touch on the finances and the equipment. I think venues is not a problem. You can use any venue that is available. But equipment-wise, is it a challenge for the organization? And then do you have the capability and the capacity and the finances to support all these levels, your under 14, your under 12, all those things?
I think that's one major challenge right now as it is, because hockey, just like cricket, is a bit of an expensive sport because you need special equipment. So we find it hard to supply schools.
When you say especially, look at how this person is dressed up.
This is a goalie, and this equipment, all of it can range about 16,000 from there. Like what he's wearing right now, it can be 16,000 rand. So that's just for the goalkeeper alone. And infield players, you definitely need a hockey stick and shin guards for protection. So one hockey stick can actually, for top level players, we start from we're looking at 800 rand going up. So that's one area we are facing challenges, because we really want to grow the sport into the government schools and public schools. But without them affording it, we have to go in there with our own equipment and give them the equipment.
Now you the SG, and then tell us about the leadership. How are you? Like you said, you only studied with 3. How is the leadership standing currently, the management committee?
The board has got 8 people right now. The president, L. Johnston, who's a teacher at Montessori Primary. Then there's Vice President Musa Malaza from Manzini, and myself as the SG, with Treasurer Fortunate Bembe, and 4 other board members. Yeah, that's how. Now,
you've also touched on how, in terms of activities, how you're standing. One would say currently, I mean, now there's COVID and everything, but prior to that, did you have any active league in terms of local competitions to make sure that the players are always active?
That we don't have at the moment, and that's one of the things we really wanted to venture into. Like we actually wanted to move the sport from the schools, from the private schools into the public schools, the government schools, and from there we get leagues going as well. Like, government schools, there's more enrollment there, so we know that we can get as more players they're involved as well.
So when you talk about teams, and you talk about maybe in terms of development and everything, currently how many teams do we have in the country? When you look at male and female, how many teams do we have currently?
But I would say the membership is mostly the schools, like I've said. So we've got 8 primary schools active, and 7 high schools active in the local school leagues. When I came in, I think it was about 4 schools active for primary schools. So now we've grown those 4 to 8, and high schools it was 4 again, which has grown to 7. So that gives us more player bases.
Yeah, quickly, maybe just looking at COVID and everything, time is against us. How far are you looking to take the sport? I mean, you've been affected now, and you're among the sports that have been actually put on hold for quite some time due to the contact that is involved in the sport. What's the current situation, and going forward, if you're given a green light?
2020 was supposed to be a big year for us. We were supposed to go to our first major international tournament, which was supposed to be played in August. It's a regional qualifier for Africa Cup of Nations. So ACN is like your AFCON for soccer. We were supposed to be part of it in August, but then everything has just been put on hold. But the tournament,
was it going to be our first AFCON?
No, us participating at an international stage like that.
Wow. So we missed the AFCON.
We haven't missed yet because it's been postponed.
So I mean to say, this time around we could have been in AFCON as a country.
It's a qualifiers right now.
Oh, it's a qualifiers.
So we start with such stages, then we go up like that. So it's been moved to Feb of next year. So we're still hoping to be part of it.
Okay.
So right now we're just waiting for authority to start practicing as a group again. Then hopefully we'll work on it again.
You're one of the members with experience, strategies that you have to move the sport forward. Beside the COVID, you have a plan to say, as an SG, as a member of the board, this is what I think we should do to bring the sport forward. Quickly, what do you think is needed?
Outreach programs. We had it on scheduled for this year that we're gonna be going out into communities, all these communities, let people know about hockey because it's an emerging sport in the country. So we really wanted to be out there and get it grow. Partnering up with Shukuma as well from Sports Council so that we are seen out there, and hopefully starting a league for those who are already involved in the sport. We wanted to start leagues so that we really grow the sport and capture more people.
Yeah, time is against us. When you talk about sport council, these people are always watching, and some of the involved people in making sure that COVID rules are being followed are watching. If given a situation right now to say proceed with the activities, go and play as a sport, how are you going to ensure that your players are safe from the pandemic?
To start with, I think we'd start with small numbers because we've got a group in Manzini, a group up here in Babane, group in Big Bend. So just say wherever you are, train by yourselves, and we'll see how we can manage the disease and try and just to minimize its spread. Because at the end of the day, we really want to be part of these events like the qualifiers we are scheduled to be part of.
All right, there you have it. Thank you very much, Prosper Story, for being here. And I think we can always count on you in anything there's a development or anything that has to do with the sport at large.
Definitely, yeah. We really have to grow sports in Eswatini because the talent is there. You can't doubt it.
There you have it. That is Prosper Story, all the way from the Republic of Zimbabwe. Having played for the national team for over 15 years, he realized that he could use that talent to improve the Eswatini hockey in the country. Having now started by being the SG, he's looking to take the sport at the highest level. Who knows, after COVID, we should see the sport, or rather the team, representing the Kingdom of Eswatini at the international stage. Otherwise, a short break where we'll look at some of the sports montage over the weekend. Otherwise, when I return, I'll be on Zoom with our international golfer, Jamie Pennington, after this. there you have it. Thank you very much for once again joining us. If you just join us, this is a Temidlalo live show where we just touch on different aspects when it comes to sporting activities in the Kingdom of Eswatini. Having talked to the Secretary General of the Eswatini Hockey Association, now we move to the next topic where we now touch on our international golfer who is based in the Republic of South Africa now for the Sunshine Tour. But before I just bring him live through Zoom, I'm already in the company of Linda Dlamini, where we'll be, of course, together from now until the end of the show.
Fabrice ngiyabonga kuvuselongwe nesibalwami.
Yes.
Akanomsengweni.
Yes, so
okay. Bese ngikutfola ukukhulu Fabrice ngivusela imali yaviwa sekhaya.
We're about to talk to Jamie Pennington. I think he's been here for quite some time, and I think where was at some point would see he's a golfer with many objectives, and we are yet to see a lot he will achieve.
Kakhulu Fabrice sibonile even nange lockdown nakungavumeleki kudlala yena beka practice vela ditshele kakhulu alungiselela yona Sunshine Tour siyakhumbula nale strategy lesisha leta naso sekupractice abeke inethi lapha shayela uma galuva yakhe phinze buye phinze ashaya ngicabanga ukuthi tonke letinvo leto tiyakhombisa ukuthi how innovative he is yena Jamie and ambitious kanganani kuba successful ku golf.
Wow, there you have it. Now, if you just join us, we are live on Eswatini TV. We've been joined by Jamie Pennington, all the way from the Republic of South Africa, where he is representing the country and himself as well at the Sunshine Tour. We welcome you on the show, Jamie. How are you?
Thank you, Fabrice. I'm good, thanks. How are you doing? And good evening to all the viewers.
Right, thank you very much for joining us. And I think last time you were here in the studio, you were expressing how the journey is likely to be tough, and then a lot of activities are expected. Just give us a short summary for now. How's the journey has been so far since you got there?
Yeah, it's been quite interesting because when I got back, I had already missed the first event, so I needed to. Everything went quite fast. I got back, and then I really just needed to jump straight into my first event back. And I got back in the conditions. Although Johannesburg's not so far away from home, it was a lot colder here at that stage, and it could definitely, you could see it in the golf courses. They were a lot more brown and very kind of dusty, and the grass had almost been turned to like a rock hard pan because of the cold weather and the grass not being able to grow without water. So the conditions were slightly different, and it was a very quick transition to get back into it all. But after a couple of days of doing it, you kind of fall back into and it becomes a routine again.
And I think just maybe to mention a few competitions. I know when you talk about Sunshine Tour, there's a lot of competitions tournaments that are involved. And I think one of them that you're involved in is the Titleist, where you are sharing the stage with some of the biggest golfers. We talk about maybe in terms of sharing the stage with some of the biggest golfers. You talk about being part of some of the biggest tournament. It's a big tournament you had to be in, and your performance was quite well.
Yes, the Titleist event was the second event back, and what was interesting about it was the eventual winner, George Kutsia, was from Pretoria, where the tournament was played, and he played that tournament, and I actually played in the group behind him for the first 2 days, and I got to see a lot of how he played. And he ended up winning the event. And then the following week, he flew to Portugal to play on the European Tour, which finished yesterday. And he actually won that tournament as well. So he won here. And then the following week, finishing yesterday, Sunday, in Portugal, he managed to win on the European Tour, which is a huge success and comes with all the worldwide benefits that winning in a place like that does. So it was quite crazy to go from just practicing in the garden and stuff to quite quickly getting back into tournament golf and playing and competing alongside these guys that have competed on world stages and the very next week have won a massive event in Portugal. So it took a little bit of getting used to, and my as you guys will know as sports people, there's a big difference between practicing and playing. So whilst my practice was good, you had to get back into the tournament atmosphere with all the pressure. And I really feel that since I've come back, each round I've played and each tournament I've played, and I've really kind of got more used to it again. And my scores have reflected within the last week, playing very nicely. In the Titleist Championship, I had a good second day, and then playing last week in a smaller tour event, and really playing well and competing to win.
Maybe just quickly moving forward, and I think I just want to mention that gladly happy to see you wearing your title sponsor, Eswatini Insurance Corporation. Just to move on, we know that the Sunshine Tour has a way of moving around within also the region. Sometimes we get to see the tournament being played here in the Kingdom. How possible is that? Looking at maybe the next schedule, how possible is that maybe you might also take part of such tournaments?
Yeah, it's the schedule with all the different levels and all the regulations government is providing, and how they're always changing. Our schedule is also always changing because of this. So we've had an event that was supposed to be in Harare in Zimbabwe towards the end of this month, has been postponed to the beginning of next year. And an event that's in Lusaka in Zambia has been postponed towards the end of November. So these events were kind of scheduled towards within the next few weeks of now, actually. But due to borders still being closed and regions still being in different alert levels and structures within their government, we've had to allow for that. And it looks like for the near future, we'll be playing just events in the South African region until things do open up, which hopefully is soon, and then we can get back to traveling a little bit more around Africa. But those events have been, luckily, unfortunately, they haven't been cancelled. They've just been postponed. So we, as long as things continue to improve, hopefully we'll be able to travel to them before the end of this year and in the beginning of next year.
And I think I mentioned that earlier on. I'm in the company of Linda Dlamini, our in-house analyst. I think you know him. He has got one or two questions.
Hi, Jamie. It's Linda here.
Hello,
I hope
Linda.
you're good. I've got a question for you. Your compatriot Nobuhle Dlamini is doing very well in South Africa. She's now an ambassador of the biggest brand in Africa. How is that a motivation to you and other golfers?
Yeah, it was. It's funny that you mentioned that. I actually was practicing with Nobuhle today at the Country Club Johannesburg this morning, and it's the first time I've seen her since she became an ambassador for Supersport. And I was wearing one of my ESRIC t-shirt or golf shirts, and she was wearing one of her Supersport ones. And we were practicing and just saying how it's amazing that we've really been able to get some support, and now we really do have the opportunity to put Eswatini on the map on a global golfing scale. So it's been a massive motivation for me to see how well she has done, and also very fulfilling that I've become a very good friend of hers during lockdown when we were both back home. We actually played and practiced between 3 and 4 times a week, and we were able to push each other and have little bets for rounds, just to keep somewhat competitive. And it's been really nice seeing her again since I've got back, and we practiced and played this morning. And yeah, she's become a very good friend of mine and someone who I keep learning from, and I'm very thankful that I can learn from her.
Thank you very much, Jeremy. And I think we'll keep in touch in case of, just to find out how you're doing going forward, and then all the preparations. I know that during this week you're quite free, so we might begin to be active once again next week. So we'll keep in touch and let the entire Kingdom know how you're doing pertaining to your journey in the Sunshine Tour.
Thank you, Fabrice. I would look forward to that, and thank you for the opportunity to catch up and speak to you guys. it's always nice to see you guys.
Thank you very much. Enjoy, and I know it's beautiful out there. There's a warm temperature and everything. So take your time and represent as well. There you have it. That is Jeremy Pennington, who is now in the Republic of South Africa, representing the country, and of course taking place as part of one of the biggest tour in the golf industry. When you talk about the region and you talk about also the continent, and also outside the continent, the Sunshine Tour, having of course been involved in the likes of titles. You talk about all the tournaments. I mean, and I think when you look at now, I like the question. I like the question because when you asked why, how Nobuhle being nominated as an ambassador is a motivation, and how they have been now, currently they are together. They trained together this morning, and I think my next question, or in my mind, I was thinking maybe when they are on the course just training together, what's the mind like? I think cameras are there saying, those two are from the Kingdom of Eswatini, and I think they have not lost that, that morale, that prideness, that to say we are from the kingdom. That's quite beautiful.
Fabrice, I've said this many times. When our sports stars bayo-representa ngaphandle kwelive, kumele ukuthi siba-celebrate kakhulu. These two social jam wathi ba-trainer together, bana Nobuhle. Ngicabanga ukuthi invo lenhle leyo batawusharishelana ama-ideas Nobuhle so bese South Africa sikhathi lesithe. So ngicabanga ukuthi vele kuyinvo leti kahle leyo, and njengoba ngisho ukuthi sengikusho isikhathi lesiningi kakhulu ukuthi let's stop this thing ukuthi those sports people, those golfers. Sports
they're actually doing well in golf. Once again, why can't we now take the entire energy we've put to other sporting courts? This is my view, and give it to those who are already out there because they are seeing that.
Maybe Fabrice siyayati influence Eswatini TV kuthi inganani, maybe le mindset itawushintsha, maybe bamvu ngendlela lababuka ngayo itawushintsha. Siyethemba, and because vele njengoba sowusho ukuthi they are doing very well, vele kwamele ukuthi golf sale siyithatha iba serious, it's invested kuyo because they are doing very well.
Talking about doing well for these two representative, we talked about Nobuhle Dlamini, who Jeremy just mentioned that they've been training together. She's been a motivation to him. We also have to look at how she's making headlines. When you look at how she's doing in the Republic of South Africa, she's now the ambassador of Let's Play, and this is a promo of her involved in those activities. Take a look at this.
Ever since I was a young girl, I always dreamed of playing golf. I swung and swung and swung until I realized my dream of becoming a professional golfer.
The season so far has belonged to Nobuhle Dlamini.
With a 5th ranking at the Sunshine Tour Order of Merit, a win in the Joburg Ladies Open, and many other achievements under her name, Nobuhle Dlamini, the ladies golf champion, is part of the Supersport Let's Play family.
The hours I spent practicing my golf swing and being physically active ensured that I was mentally sharp for my school books and the golf course. Now more than ever, as we stay away from school and stay indoors, keeping fit and exercise has become critical to maintain a healthy mind and body. Remember to stay safe and play it safe. I'm Nobuhle Dlamini, and I'm proud to be part of the Supersport Let's Play family.
Wow, how beautiful, beautiful stuff. I mean, when you look at this video, and I think it was written down there, courtesy of Supersport. This is awesome stuff. This is your Tiger Wood type of stuff.
Yeah.
I think, do we have that picture of back in 2012 or early 2010, there at the Mbabane Golf Course, a young girl trying to reach the final destination of the course? Now look at the stage. This is big. I don't know. Put it in your own words, Ramin.
If only we knew how big it is ukuthi Nobuhle Dlamini abe a brand ambassador, one of the biggest brand in Africa. Ngicabanga ukuthi ngabe kunengilele sikwendawo, but ngike ngasho even before, ngicabanga ukuthi lo msebenzi semkhulu kakhulu, and ubonakalisile ke naye ukuthi vele she's a role model to many South Africans, even nemaswati. Ngicabanga nje ukuthi kuthola le role yakhe le udlala inzima lenkulu kakhulu kuma local golfers. Siyambona ke nyalo ukuthi awusebenza kakhulu nebamvana because let's play siyadlala a program vele ifuna kungena kakhulu abantwaneni yena nje cishe every once a week utawuhamba ayefundisa abantwana igaluva. So ngicabanga ukuthi letinvo leto ngake ngasho ke ngathi ema young golfers in South Africa batawukhula bathi ukuthi there is Nobuhle Dlamini from Eswatini because
these are some of the things you're mentioning, activities.
Yes, the program about SuperSport Variety ngicabanga ukuthi njoba sengishilo ukuthi i role model batawukhula bathi ukuthi kuna Nobuhle Dlamini. Ngiyayikhumbula mina le Joburg ladies tour ya 2019 ngangititshelile vele ukuthi ngifuna ngibukele yena Nobuhle. Luckily ke wayiwina leyo tournament leyo. Ngicabanga ukuthi lapho kwasekucacisa vele ukuthi Nobuhle is that star e South Africa and labosisi vele uyabashaya.
When you look at position yakhe, I mean, I think we're talking about her, and we'll talk about also Jamie Pennington. We'll also rush back to hockey a bit before we go to other activities. But when you look at, of course, well-edited stuff and beautiful stuff, when you look at her position, 5th rankings at the Sunshine Tour, because these are stuff that you don't need to waste your data Googling Nobuhle.
Yeah.
So these are stuff that are public knowledge now. This is how far she's gone, she's big. What are we saying about the sport? Because now we also talk about the new innovation of the sport we've seen in the golf. And I think there's so much that we've heard in the past, golf and golf this and golf that. This is what's happening with our golfers, that we started saying golf. And we've had this situation within the country where now you have to say football, is it a priority, not a priority? We're not saying let's go and forget football, but we're saying these are sport codes that also have potential to increase and produce the best in the land.
I was very, very happy earlier on. Mr. Stole from Zimbabwe nakata ukhuluma nge-hockey. Akhuluma ukuthi bahambile by South Africa bafika babona abadlali abangakhona ukudlala ku-national team yase South Africa, so bazama kuletha bona labadlali labo. So ngicabanga ukuthi even nangala ka golf siyabona ukuthi if ama golfers ethu enda kahle eSouth Africa baba recognize, then our young golfers kumele ukuthi athole isikhathi ahambe aye South Africa afike ayothola isikhathi balulonge batawuthola even nalama golfers la sakhonile achieve bayabuya ke la Swatini sebalimelela live kahle ama results sewabona. So ngicabanga ukuthi if kungenteka kanjalo then ikhona vele la singakhona.
Usakhuluma nge-hockey, master. I think now we can move to it. I think about 2 or 3 months ago we had someone here who was supposed to go to the World Cup in France. I don't know if you remember.
In a pool. Yes.
So Story mentioned something about AFCON but under hockey.
Yeah.
So bekuma qualifiers but bekubonakala ngazo sibatasimelela live.
Yeah.
So if we can then use the same mentality to say these sports, we're saying that these sports, we've been calling them these sports, they have the potential to take us on the map.
And now buka Fabrice njoba asho ukuthi bahambile bayodlala ama under 13 badliwe igame inye ngicabanga ukuthi benda kahle kakhulu nabakhona eSouth Africa. So ngicabanga ukuthi and ubuka le development program yabo mhlamba nyathi school, community school, became the first government school kudlala ihockey la kangwane. So ngicabanga ukuthi bayisethe kahle le development program yabo batawudlala vele and na ukhulisa ngihlale ngisho vele ukuthi I development thina sibuka kakhulu and inyalo bangenile vele la tikolweni bangenile bamfanele abancane. So batathi bakhula labantwana bafika kubo naba nje labe bayodlala ama under 13 batathi bafika banabo 19 20 21 22 then batabe bama superstars skatsile noma kanjalo ukuthi by the next 5 years kulo next 5 years bay qualify leyo AFCON ba qualify by ku even World Cup.
Talking about hockey, talking about Jamie Pennington, talking about Nobuhle. These are some of the things that are making us think twice. MTN monthly mark over the weekend. Galuva again. We talk about it. They are doing well there. We'll talk about them. There was a monthly mark over the weekend. What can you say, Master? I think ESRIC over the past couple of weekends, we saw the tournament, we saw how they're trying to track back with the months and everything, and we talk about the innovation. But have you seen anything different maybe from SRIC to the monthly mark? the competition level and everything?
Oh yes, Fabrice. Mantle Mark M10 beqhubeka Fabrice. But this time around bengaqhubeki individuals. Bedlala in pairs. In fact, even nale new innovation lesakhuluma ngayo last week. Ukuthi ibhola awusathi thathe lapha ekhathe emgodzini. Sibonile njengoba ubona lapha tithombe tayo igolf. Ngicabanga ukuthi diningi le team vele kumele sitishayele dona ngala kugaluva ilencubekela phambili uyayibona njengoba usho wena ukuthi sitawuqhubeka sikhulume ngabo because benta kahle bayadlala banikiwe nemvumo ukuthi baqhubeke badlale.
Usakhuluma nge-innovation master, we hear the president and some of the golfers, but when you look at maybe the idea master, I think you're on the course over the weekend. Do you really think the innovation ingakusita somehow ukuthi you score points? Because longibuka komina, if it's either at the finishing point or it's not there. Bulula. So isithini sidingo sokubuka ukuthi ingakusita noma ngeke ukusita?
Njoba ngasho kancane Fabrice last week ngathi vele ku some golfers kuyi advantage kuyakusita kodwa vele nangabe phela awukhona vele lokucondzisela emgodzini kude ngivele longayenda but nangabe uyakhona vele ucondzisa emgodzini vele uyakusita because ayendluli lebhola vele itingenele ishayele insimbi bese siyangena but nje njoba sengishilo ukuthi tinvo letinhle lestigadzile ukuthi vele every sport basikhombise tinvo letinsha Fabrice njalo kubonakala ukuthi bayacabanga bafuna ukuthuthukisa le sport bakwendile ku golf.
Beautiful stuff. Of course, when you look at this technology, there you have it. He doesn't have to touch the ball. There you have it. You can always make sure that you're safe from the pandemic COVID-19. Now, President Albert Mhlanga, alongside some golfers, had some explanation to do about this innovation over the weekend. Mhlanga believes it's not an advantage, it's actually a disadvantage. Take a look at this.
Terrible cha imbabane siyadumisa kakhulu le extra precautionary leyithethe yokuthi nje iyente i-system yokuthi uma ibhola seyingene uyikhiphe nje without even ukuthi uthathe le pin siyakudumisa kwenangu kwento imbabane kodwa ke amawele ukuthi ma golf clubs onke awathatha ama precautions kakhulu njena each time before they play basanitizer onke ama pins and nalokuthi njena uma uphatha vele onke ma clubs they've adopted routes vele ubede lokuthatha le pin uvele ukhiphe le bhola wedwana. Actually the terrible my experience that it's not an advantage, it's a disadvantage. Sometimes uma le pin are parallel ingento ayishayele le pin incane iphume le bhola kanti betawungena, so ke good extra advantage leyifakako. So what I've noticed that umdlalo odlalako uma saphatha nje uyayijikisa so that ingabi parallel lama two pins abe on one behind the other.
No, kulabanye njengabantu labadzala I think kuyabasita bona ngoba bakhona lokubonza ukhanza ukuthi sewudziniwe kathi thina nje lamhla ikungidlisile na partner wami ngoba ishaye kona yaphuma sengithi ngiyibalile, so sithole ezilo kulo mgodi sikhishwe ngiyo lento nami yangikhipha na partner yamkhipha athi ngalokuthi into vele kufanele sidlale khona kude lesingakwenda.
I think it's an awesome idea during this pandemic because it keeps all players safe at all times, because you don't need to touch the pin. You can lift your ball out with your club and it springs out. The only disadvantage is if you're putting towards it and the spring is facing you, then you are at a disadvantage, but you can still go up and turn it. Other than that, it's an awesome idea, probably first of its kind. Big up to Mbuban.
Thank you.
Yakuva Mr. Fakutse nawuthi isita kakhulu abantu labadzala, then Mr. Groening angena athi ikhona it does disadvantage, then himself Mr. Mhlanga believes there's still a disadvantage. Kahle Master kwendekani because Mr. Fakutse maybe ungulahlile kancane ukuthi kukhona yini egwaluva kusina lomtsala na umtsala una i-advantage noma yabo imvole kanjani awungichazele ngosi
njoba umvile athi yena na partner wakhe njoba ngishilo ngathi ngeweekend le monthly mark bidlalwa ngabo ngeInpes bobona parting ukhalile vele yena ukuthi yena na partner wakhe kube ne disadvantage in fact bakhaliswa ukuthi angithi ayibona le iba ne pin lenayo laceleni bakhaliswa ukuthi na ushaya uwaqonisa ngala kule pin vele utawulimala kudzinga ukuthi uhlakaniphe
ungayiqhubekisa
phambili kudzinga ukuthi uhlakaniphe ungayidlalisi ngalala kunephini ngakhona angati ke ngabe kuconzene vele ukuthi kudzinga ukuthi ushayela emgodzini iconze kule phini ukuthi utawenda njani because ngayohambe uyijikisa but ngicabanga ukuthi soshilo Mr Groning ukuthi it's an awesome.
I think they're trying to show us something, Master, here. You see it goes in now it gets in.
But ayibona ukuthi le pin ingakuphi if le pin beyingala iconzane nathi bukane nathi bekutaba nenkinga because beyitashaya le bhola bekungenteki ingangeni uyabona kulala bakhala ngako vele simvile nafaka ukuthi athi kulomgodi abakathola lutho so ngicaba ukuthi vele incumbi yoma golfers asatokufunza tinvo letinsha tiyafika tifunzwe ugcina ukhonile ukumasterisha bese soyakhona kudlala.
There you have it, and of course having been introduced at the Mbabane Golf Course, the golf union, especially himself, the president Albert Mhlanga, is urging other golf courses within the country to adopt the same system and use this new innovation that is in line with the government's idea of fighting against the coronavirus pandemic. Beautiful stuff, and I think they look so comfortable.
Uyabona nje na short ekugcina le short ekugcina le yes le short ekugcina le galuva beconzane naleli pin ugejile ayikangeni le bhola see ngako ke le disadvantage la
inkundla so if we le innovation le bhola betonke
bengenile vele bengenile la but isuke yaconzana nale pin wayishaya waconzana le pin hence ke ngako bathi vele kune disadvantage la labanye.
MTN Master 3 was not the only activity that was active over the weekend. Cricket, when you talk about cricket, there is a familiar name. When you talk about Bopak 11, those are some of the biggest teams in the cricket industry locally. They were also, they locked horns somehow in Malkens. What can you tell me about their current standing when you look at what we have on the screen?
Yes, Fabrice, Park 11 ikombisa vele kuba strong siyakhumbula ukuthi these two teams bekadlala ma final aba ma finalists yes ne Rotanya Club iwinile ke Park 11 nga 83 runs nakhuluma ngema runs uminasa lo 107 kulo 190 kuphuma lo 83 ma runs then yawina ke yona I Park 11 njoba seshilo ukuthi vele iyakhombisa kuba nemandla kakhulu this season even na last season bona nje cishe vele bacubeka labagcina khona last season ngicabanga ukuthi they are doing okay because if utawina nga 83 runs ngicabanga ukuthi leso score leso sihle kakhulu because siyathi ukuthi kumele kube tight at least 40 or 45 or 50 nangabe kuthiwa bodlala a very tight game ngicabanga nje ukuthi incumbi yako behlulekile ke kukhokha ema wickets lamanengi ePark 11 their batsmen cishe bekadlala ngcono bekakhona lokwashaya amabhola bekathola bo 4 abathola nalawo ma single runs ngicabanga ukuthi le combination yabo like qaleni labangenela kuqaleni badlale kahle kakhulu.
And then I think must now buka ukuthi so far since they return I think they look very fit. It's like they were not affected by the COVID, and I think the way the level bahamba ngayo, I think the sport at this point in time singasho ukuthi they have recovered from the long break.
Kakhulu Fabrice, in fact ibona nawubuka kusukela banengwa le mvumo ukuthi abaqhubeke badlale ngicabanga ukuthi vele batitshelile batinika sigaba ukuthi batawu practice onke lamalanga so uyabona nalapha ekhasi groundini nabadlala ukuthi batimisela and le experience ikhona mhlambe ukuchaza nje kunayishot nayo Fabrice if uyincagile loya ingabhambi pass bekaphuma lo ishayile lokuthiwa ibatsman because I wicket leyo unfortunately wayiphunyula lokusho ukuthi akaphumi ke lona kumele agijime ayengala hlangabetane nalo wakubo kuto wakhe ka i1 run but if sebagijime kabili atawuthi 1-2 then kuba ngi2 runs.
Master kunebhola kunematubane kune cricket ngiphi le sports usingasho ukuthi uyidlala kakhulu ngathi you have passion to all the sports.
I-passion yami i-cricket, ibhola uyati obvious sakhula ezidlale wona, but i-passion yami kakhulu cricket kulandzela ematubane, then ibhola iyalandzela ke ne-volleyball, but nje le cricket vele sports sami lesihamba phambili kakhulu.
They have it. Pool, another sport that was active. We talk about activities, we have everything for you. Pool was another active sport over the weekend. We look at the log, we look at what they have in terms of the standings and everything. Correctional. They have shifted a bit. Royal Eswatini Police Services, they look like they are topping the table. It is true, they are topping the table. Correctional, with a point behind it.
For pressing about it, the set abathalisi kakhulu because even last year i-reps nayo becishe ifuna lokungena competition, but I'm very impressed ngewe in because if utawucompete ne correctional ne-reps ngicabanga ukuthi usuke uyi-team lekhombisa kuba strong, yes bangemuva mhlambe ku correctional nga 3 points nga 4 points ku reps, but I'm very impressed ngabo this season, even last season badlala kahle kakhulu, but yona i-reps ngicabanga ukuthi nayo isithathe by surprise because siyakhumbula ukuthi ekuqaleni besolo sikhuluma nge-correctional, but ngendlela laba recover ngayo nge-weekend ngicabanga ukuthi badlala igame lehle kakhulu, and nabo ngicabanga ukuthi bayitholile le order ukuthi iyafunakala le nkomishi lena ye-pool this year.
Talking about order and of course beautiful shots being seen on the screen. This is REPAs, of course, taking center stage in one of their games. Celebrations are taking place as well in one of their games. This is another sport we're excelling as a country. Now, moving on, these are some of the activities, of course, that were taking place over the weekend. Talking about the order of the day, there was another big gathering somewhere, somehow at Happy Valley, the annual general meeting where we're expecting a new chairman. Master, you mentioned something about this AGM. What's your expectation? What type of leader are you looking for, Master?
Fortunately, Fabrice, ngaveta kancane ukuthi yes, it's a three yes, kule AGM besikhathi lesikhathi ama elections naletinye 13 vele stikhathile. But the 3 candidates ngicabanga ukuthi ngasho ngathi one of them so decide ukuthi asali angasavotelwa, even though ke Fabrice akusiko public
but
kuliqiniso
manje. Master, umthetho uthi 2 hours every meeting. Kunetinkurumo ukuthi allegedly kunetinkurumo ukuthi mhlawumbe kwendiwe mabombo ukuthi lo 2 hours bamhlale now, because in their own belief they knew ukuthi AGM ngeke ibe 2 hours, itawundlula 2 hours. And medias were not around. This is where the media was watching from, a different room. Through Zoom.
Yes. Fabrice, angifuni kusho ukuthi I was told by someone on
this
Saturday
ukuthi
elections ngeke abe khona le meeting noma le agenda ngeke iziphele le meeting ile AGM itaba sikhasile seats itawendlula lo 2 hours, hence itabe siya cancel. Ngikutshelile even before singena la showini ukuthi bengathi lo sema elections ngeke aze abe khona
through the reliable source,
through reliable sources.
Okay.
Lokusho ukuthi kwendiwa on purpose. What's AGM?
So when they on purpose by the executive of the organization, or when they on purpose by ban? No, not to reveal the sources.
Yeah, angifuni ku point my fingers Fabrice, but nje ngicaba ukuthi mind games lawa. Angeke ngisho ke isikhathi esiningi Fabrice ngithi football is politics. You have to be smart. Now ngingenele ibhola because ipolitics lena and kudlalwa lawo mind games kakhulu.
Master, siyaphuma, but when you're talking about other sporting courts, we're talking about success. But safike boleni kunetikalo siyakhala kakhulu. Success kwendiwani ukuthi ngabe khona. Golf they're excelling, pool they're excelling, hockey they're excelling. Kwendiwani boleni. Why are we not talking anything positive? Not to say we don't want to say anything positive. Why is always something negative?
Ngawusho naku nje Fabrice Kafisha in 5 seconds. Many people are in football for wrong reasons.
Eswatini TV Sports. Sidlala kamnanzi.